Dr. Caplan, how would you define ADD?
Excellent. ADD is a brain-based neurobehavioral condition characterized by a child or a teenager having what we would call a fascination-based central nervous system. They have the ability to hyper-focus on what they find fascinating. Video games, music, a sport, but when it comes to something that other people find important, what their parents find important, or the teacher finds important, turning in homework, doing chores, they tend to get pretty bored with it and are easily distracted or put it off and not even get it done.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Caplan, if I, and let's say the school psychologists think that my child might have ADD, what will you do to help me with that diagnosis? And how would I manage this disorder?
First of all, making the diagnosis. Reassure your 8-year-old we're not going to do any blood tests, any urine samples, throat cultures. They don't like things like that. But what we try to do at Child First Pediatrics is look at ADD in the traditional way it's always been looked at, where we have you fill out questionnaires describing how your child looks in a group situation, comparing him to children who only have an importance-based central nervous system, which is 90% of the young people. We have you fill out the questionnaire. We have his school teachers fill them out. They're located on our website, very easy for you to pull up. We even ask for the school psychologist and the soccer coach to fill out the questionnaires. We then have you get those questionnaires back to us, preferably bringing them by the office, all filled out, and we'd like you to stay with the teacher so she can fill it out right there and give it back to you, because after we have those questionnaires filled out, we go over all of that data, including any educational testing that the school has done or you've done in a private setting. That's going to help us a great deal, because ADD is a diagnosis made by observing a child in a group situation, doing something that is not fascinating, just important. But we also have a brand new system for evaluating young people with ADD. In fact, it can evaluate and measure ADD in people ages 6 to 56, and it's called the quotient assessment.
Well, tell me about this quotient assessment. What all does that mean?
The quotient assessment for looking at attention, hyperactivity, and the degree of impulsivity was invented at Harvard Medical Center by Dr. Teacher. It was invented around the mid-1990s, 94, 95. It objectively looks at the degree of attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. And it is actually the only machine or computer software program that does this that the FDA has approved. And often it's covered by insurance, even by Medicaid. Before your child is even thinking about going on medicine, it would be really good to do the quotient system before we even fill out the material that we have on those questionnaires. And when I look at the quotient, then I can bring that in as part of our evaluation. It only takes 20 minutes to a half hour to do that right there in our office at Child First Pediatrics.
So, Dr. Caplan, you've mentioned these questionnaires a couple of times. What is the best way for me to get these filled out, and who exactly are the people that need to do that?
The best people to do that is not only you and your husband, but people who really observe your child. His grandmother, who's there when he comes home from school, helping him with his homework. His school teachers. the soccer coach, Cub Scout leader, but primarily people who see him in the school setting, especially an experienced school teacher or a school psychologist.
Lastly, Dr. Caplan, once I bring in all of the questionnaires and the quotient test has been completed, then what happens next?
We're going to be setting up an appointment for the evaluation. The evaluation takes about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. I will have read your child's educational testing that was done by the school. I will have read all the questionnaires filled out by the teachers, school psychologists, yourself. It's very important to have mom, dad, any step-parents, anyone who's involved with the child on a daily basis there at the appointment. Because so many people are working 9 to 5, we even have late hours on a Wednesday night and a Thursday night where we go till 7:30, 8 o'clock so that people don't have to miss work for this evaluation. And we can even do it on a Saturday afternoon between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock. The evaluation will take about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and we will explain everything about ADD in a way that your child and the adults can really understand it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caplan.